Hello, class. This is Dr. Benson. I just wanted to take some time to uh, respond to what you've been doing this past week in terms of your discussion, and to look ahead a little bit into what you're going to be doing. First of all, I just want to commend each and every one of you on your chapter one discussion. I have found the discussion rich. I have found your responses thoughtful, and I have just really enjoyed reading your commentary. So I encourage you to keep up this good work. And as I was reading it, it occurred to me that I could see now why you didn't like to write on Twitter. You have so much more to say than 140 characters. And I just have to let you know that I have really enjoyed reading the things that you have written. I was especially gratified, pleased, delighted to see that you came to the conclusion that when we look at these learning theories, that we don't have to pick one, that we can add them all to our toolkit. And that's the approach that I want us to take as we make our way through the remaining chapters in this textbook. So in the textbook. So kudos to you for the excellent discussion work that you've done this week. Next, I'm going to talk about what's coming up on Thursday. Okay, this week, last week we discussed one chapter. This week is going to be a little bit busier. We're going to discuss three chapters. Their chapters are on behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. Since we have three chapters this week, I looked at the due dates and I decided that I could actually give you a little bit more time. So your initial posts are due Sunday instead of Saturday. So that gives you an extra day. But remember now, you're doing three chapters instead of one chapter. So you probably don't want to wait till Sunday to do all three, but you have until Sunday to do all three, to make your initial responses to the discussion questions for all three chapters by Sunday. And then your follow-up posts are due by Tuesday instead of Monday. I have made these changes on the discussion board so you see the changes in the due date. I also want to remind you that for every chapter, one of your peers has created an overview video. Edwina created it for chapter one, and I can't remember now who's doing it for chapter two, chapters three, four, and five. They will be on the discussion board midnight Thursday, so you will have access to them. And you also have a classmate who's gone out to find some web resources related to that particular chapter, and those are also posted on the discussion board. So these two resources should help you with the information provided in the chapters. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't read the chapters on your own, but this just gives you another view into the chapters from your classmates' perspective. Okay, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, just let me know. Next, I'm going to talk about your personal theory of learning that I'm asking you to write. By now, you've all seen the question that I've added to the discussion board in regard to your personal theory of learning. This is my way of helping you to develop not so much a personal theory of learning, but a philosophy of learning. But we're basing this philosophy on what we know about learning theories. So I asked you in chapter one to just tell me what you thought about learning with respect to several categories. Several of you have already posted yours. I don't know if everybody has done it, but several of you have. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you put into it. And I think I read one where somebody said, this is just off the top of my head, or these are some new thoughts. And that's perfectly fine. The idea is for each of you to establish your own baseline, to begin to say, this is what I think. And as we go through these chapters, what I want you to do is to try to align what you think with what you're learning each week. So what I'm going to do each week, I'm going to have you, not each week, actually each week, but with each chapter, I'm going to have you revisit your personal theory of learning with each chapter. So the kinds of questions my question that I'll be asking with the chapter was, did you find a source for any of the ideas in your personal theory of learning? Right now, all I've asked you to do is to tell me what your ideas are. As we look at these theories, I want you to see if your ideas already exist in some theory. And most of the time they do. Most of the time our thoughts are based in some theory, For some of you, you know that that's where your ideas are based. Others of you don't. But as we go through these chapters, I hope you begin to see a source for your ideas. And when I say source, I don't mean the Harrison book. I mean, is this idea based in behaviorism? Is it based in cognitivism? Is it based in constructivism? Or are parts of it based in all, or is your learning, or all three of these theories reflected in some place in your learning theory? Sorry about mine getting tongue tied there. But the idea is just for you to begin to identify sources of where your ideas come from in the learning theory literature. So what I want you to do is, when we read the chapter on behaviorism, I want you to go back when you read that chapter and you engage in discussion with your peers. I want you to go back and look at that personal learning theory that you developed for me, that you developed during the chapter one discussion. And I want you to ask yourself, are any of my ideas reflected in behaviorism? Is that where those ideas are really based? And if they are, I want you to tag those ideas as such so that you'll know that this is where this idea is situated. And then I also want to ask you, did you find any ideas in behaviorism that you want to add to your theory? Maybe there are some things that you hadn't thought about. And so when you read about behaviorism, you go, yeah, that's something that I need to ask, and something that I need to add, and something that I need to consider. Well, I want you to add that to your theory, and I want you to note where it came from. And then I want you to ask yourself the question, did you learn anything that made you want to change any of your initial ideas? There is no reason for you to hold on to every idea that you put down for week one as we move through the semester. It's perfectly fine to have a change of mind. It's perfectly fine to have clarification. That's why we're going through all these chapters, to help us to develop a fuller picture of what we think effective learning is. Because I think, as somebody said it, somebody had posted it on the discussion board. Teachers tend to teach according to what they think is right. And so we're trying to get you to reflect on what it is that you're thinking and to try to situate that in the literature, but to also have the literature inform what your ideas are. So the questions I'm going to ask you to consider is, did you find a source for any of the ideas in each chapter reading? Did you find a source for any of the ideas in your personal learning theory? Did you find any ideas you want to add to your theory? And did you learn anything that make you want to change your ideas? And so with every chapter, I want you to go back and look at that theory and see how you can change it. So when you look at behaviorism, you're going to update your theory. Then when you look at cognitivism, you're going to update the theory that you've already updated with behaviorism. Then when you look at constructivism, you're going to look at what you've already updated based on behaviorism and cognitivism. Now, if you think about this, you would think that maybe the discussion board is not the best place to do this. In previous classes, I have had students to create a wiki, and we could actually create these wikis in Blackboard. But for some reason, Blackboard, it never failed. Before we finish the activity, the wiki would stop working for students. Now, we may stand a better chance since we're only going to be doing this for 4 weeks. But what would happen is, when the wiki locked up on the students, they were no longer able to copy their work to another file. I don't understand how that happened. So I'm going to suggest to you that you can create a Google Doc for that initial theory that you created for me, and on the discussion board, and at the end of every chapter, you can go back and update that your personal learning theory that you have in your Google Doc with your new ideas. And then on the discussion board, you can just tell me what changes you've made, as opposed to rewriting the whole theory. Now, you're welcome to rewrite the whole theory, or you can tell me the change, or if you decide to use the Google Doc, you can point me and the class to your doc. That means that you have to create a link such that everybody with the link can see the doc. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. You'll see my questions on the discussion board around midnight Thursday, along with your peers. And those are the questions, and they're going to be very similar to the wording that I have here, that ask you to revisit your personal theory of learning. So let me know if you have any questions. In case you're wondering what we're going to do with this personal learning theory, if you're looking Blackboard, there's a link on the left panel, on the left navigation panel, that says culminating activities. If you click on that link and you go to that page, you'll see two things. One is your IT literature review, and one is your IT philosophy paper. Our development of this personal theory of learning is going to help us develop this IT philosophy paper. If you look at what's in the IT philosophy paper, it's some of the same headings that you are looking at each week with your personal theory of learning. So my idea is that throughout the semester, you will develop this paper so that when it comes, whatever the due date is for this paper, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from uh, your personal learning theory and how it has evolved over the semester. And if you look at the rubric says that what we're looking for is a growth in your ideas and some depth to your thinking. That's how you get an A. How you get a B is no growth. And how to get a C is that your ideas just aren't coherent. So we will talk a little bit more about that IT philosophy paper as we move forward. But this is where we're going with you updating this personal learning theory of learning each week. For those of you in the IT program, as part of your IT doctoral comprehensive exam, you have to write an IT philosophy paper. And I typically just give you the directions from the comps for this assignment, but I've given a little bit more detail this time. So for those of you in the IT program, what you should have coming out of this course is a draft of your IT philosophy paper. Now, this is your first semester in the program, so hopefully your ideas will develop over time and it'll change, but this will give you a very good baseline. Students in the past have commented that they have actually been able to work from this paper in order to write that IT philosophy paper. So that's sort of where we are with that. So that's the method to the madness as we sit here. So if you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to our, is this our last, yeah, this is our last day of discussion. I look forward to, today is Wednesday. I look forward to continuing to read your discussion questions or prompts for the day and the summary post from the leadership team. I certainly appreciate all your good work this week and look to have more. This is Dr. Benson. Have a great day and let me know if you have any questions.